let's take a look now at what slope really is. Slope is the slant or the direction and the slant of the line, or how steep a line is, and it can be measured. We can measure slope, and we have a formula for calculating slope. If we only have 2 points on the line, we can calculate the slope of the line. So if you don't have the linear equation that tells you what the slope is, you can figure it out if somebody gives you 2 points that are on the line. The formula you need to memorize is slope, or M, is equal to y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Now, the 2 and the 1s in these with these variables are not exponents. They're giving us direction. They're telling us which point. The 2 is saying this is the y variable, or the y coordinate for the second point, and the 1 is saying this is the y coordinate for the first point. In other words, let's label our points. It doesn't matter which point we choose as 1 and which we choose as 2. I'm going to make these points 1.1 and these points 0.2 in our chart here that we're using. And let's take a look at filling in the formula with the correct numbers. The first one, the point 3, 1 and 4, negative 2, we would say M is equal to y2, which is negative 2. That's the y coordinate of the second point, minus y1, which is a positive 1. So I'll subtract the y coordinate of the first point. And then we put that over x2, which is the x coordinate of the second point, minus x1, which is the x coordinate of the first point. After you've filled in the coordinates, all you have to do is do the algebra. Negative 2 minus 1 is a negative 3. 4 minus 3 is 1. So my slope is negative 3 over 1, or just negative 3. Let's check out example number 2. I'm going to use the same points for 1 and 2. I'll make this point 1 and this point 2. I'm going to fill in my y2 minus y1. I'm going to say y2 is 5 minus y1 is 0. And I'm going to fill in my x2 minus x1. x2 is 1. And x1 is going to be negative 2. Now look, notice that my formula has a negative. It's a subtraction. And my coordinate that I'm plugging in also has a negative. So I ended up with 2 negatives in this one, and that's very important that I don't lose one of those negatives because it changes everything if I do. 5 minus 0, of course, is 5. 1 minus a negative 2 is the same as 1 plus 2, which is 3. So my slope is 5 over 3. Look at the other 2 examples. Go ahead and cut off the tape. Try the other 2 examples and see if you can get them, and then come back to the page and check your work. Okay, let's head down to the bottom of this page and see if we can do these 4 examples here. I'm going to rewrite my formula. M, or slope, is equal to y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, because it's a good idea before you start anything that has a formula to go ahead and write the formula down first. Then I'm just going to plug in my coordinates. Slope is equal to, and in this one, y2 is negative 2, minus, and the minus is in my formula, and it's minus y1, which is 3. That's the numerator. The denominator, x2, which is negative 1, minus x1, which is 4. Now just do the math. Negative 2 minus 3 is negative 5. Negative 1 minus 4 is also negative 5. Well, anything over itself is a positive 1, and a negative divided by a negative, of course, is positive. So my slope is really 1. My second example, once again, we write the formula. Slope is equal to y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. I'm going to use the same 2 points. This is point 1 and this is point 2. You can label them if you want to, so you do have that straight. And then slope is going to be equal to y2, which is negative 2, minus y1, which is 6, over x2, which is 4, minus x1, which is 0. When I do the math, negative 2 minus 6 is negative 8, 4 minus 0 is 4, and negative 8 divided by 4 is negative 2. My slope is a negative 2. Example number 3, we'll use same points for 1 and 2. And remember, it doesn't matter which point you call 1 and which point you call 2, as long as you're consistent when you're filling in the points in the formula. formula again, slope is equal to y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So slope would be equal to y2, which is negative 6, minus y1, which is a negative 1. I'm going to end up with two negatives together, so I'll use parentheses to separate them. Then I have to say x2, which is 3, minus x1, which is 2. When I do the math, I have negative 6 plus 1, because the negatives turn into a positive, the two negatives together. So negative 6 plus 1 is going to give me a negative 5. And in the denominator, I have 3 minus 2, which is 1. Well, the slope for this one is the whole number, negative 5. The last example, let's go ahead and write the formula one more time. By now, we should know the formula, but it's a good idea because you have to have it memorized for this test. So, slope is now equal to y2, which is 2, minus y1, which is 0, over x2, negative 4, minus x1, which is 5. The numerator, 2 minus 0 is 2. The denominator, negative 4 minus 5, negative 9. So my slope is really, and I'll put the negative out front, a negative 2/9.